My mother left a voicemail saying Dad needed medication, and I almost caved. The conditioning runs that deep. I supported my parents and siblings for years, believing we were a united front against hardship. But the expected fund transfer remained outstanding. My mother had already left a message on my answering service, but my curt response confirmed, no more financial remittance. The following day, my phone's log displayed a staggering 23 missed calls and 38 urgent text communications. The fateful electronic mail materialized on a Tuesday. It was an otherwise unremarkable day, merely another humdrum stretch dedicated to intricate spreadsheets, obligatory client consultations, and an excessive consumption of highly caffeinated beverages. I nearly neglected to peruse my personal inbox during the midday break, a critical lapse that was narrowly avoided. The subject line screamed, "OMG, did you witness this?" It was from my cousin, Melissa. The attached video file was excruciatingly slow to materialize, straining the bandwidth of the communal office wireless network. It was merely 43 seconds of footage, yet that brief duration utterly redefined my reality. The recording was from my family's customary annual Christmas gathering last year, the very one I was unable to attend due to a professional exigency, the exigency being my crucial need to finalize a project that would ensure my coveted promotion. That very promotion had been providing the financial foundation for their existence for the preceding 3 years. The video commenced with a view of my mother's living room, the illuminated evergreen, the familiar festive accoutrements, and the sound of disembodied voices laughing. Then my brother Edward's voice clearly slurred from overindulgence. "Thank goodness Rebecca couldn't make it. Now we can actually enjoy ourselves." My abdomen clenched violently, the sandwich on my desk lay forgotten. "She's so rigid and overly fastidious now," my sister Carol interjected, acting like she's superior to all of us simply because she holds that fancy position. Then my mother's voice, the one that used to sing me to sleep, replied, "Well, her fancy job is subsidizing this festive meal, so I can tolerate her condescending attitude." They guffawed, every single one of them. The camera panned, presumably held by my cousin who had forwarded the clip. There they were, my entire immediate family, glasses elevated, nodding in unanimous agreement. "The humorous thing," Edward continued, "is that she genuinely believes we desire to hear about her work, as if any of us care about marketing strategies or whatever the hell she busies herself with." More laughter followed. "But we do care about her paycheck," my father added, raising his crystal glass, "to Rebecca, our automated personal banking machine." They dedicated a toast to my image, to my munificence, to the brutal truth that I was apparently nothing more than a bank account to them. The video terminated abruptly. Melissa's text message below read, "OMG, I am so deeply sorry. I intended to send this to my therapist to demonstrate the burden I've been enduring within this family. Please contact me immediately." I did not place a call. I was incapable of verbal articulation. My hands shuddered uncontrollably as I closed my laptop. 3 years spent underwriting their living expenses after Dad lost his employment. 3 years of remitting funds for Carol's children's required school supplies. 3 years covering Edward's rent when he was between occupations. 3 years of naively believing we were a truly cohesive family unit that remained steadfast through adversity. I barely reached the restroom before violently regurgitating. The remainder of the professional day passed in a disorienting haze. I managed to smile at my colleagues, I successfully concluded my presentation, and I nodded at the appropriate junctures during a meeting. Yet internally I was relentlessly reiterating that 43-second sequence on a continuous loop, our personal ATM. The drive home presented a genuine danger. The constant flow of tears repeatedly obliterated my visual acuity. I was forced to pull my vehicle over to the side of the road twice simply to regain my composure. By the time I arrived at my modest apartment, an eerie tranquility had settled over me. The specific type of calm that descends after a devastating storm has left nothing intact, realizing there is absolutely nothing left to lose. I checked my cellular device. 5 missed communications from Melissa, 2 from my mother, likely their customary periodic solicitation for money. It was the first of the month, after all. I carefully placed the phone down without initiating a return call. Instead, I activated my banking application and reviewed my transaction history. The habitual financial remittances to my relatives appeared with predictable regularity. Mom and Dad, $1,200 monthly for mortgage assistance. Edward, $800 monthly for temporary rent assistance, an arrangement now entering its 2nd year. Carol, $500 monthly for the children's needs, plus the frequent emergency appeals for car repairs, medical bills, and school excursions. In total, I had disbursed a sum exceeding $95,000 over the past 3 years, capital that might otherwise have been channeled toward my personal aspirations. The house I desperately wished to procure, the master's degree I had indefinitely postponed, the vacation I hadn't taken in 4 years. I had been residing in a restrictive 1-bedroom unit, subsisting on inexpensive instant noodles twice weekly, all to maintain my family's comfortable standard of living. My phone chimed again, Mom. For the first time in my adult life, I allowed the call to terminate. Instead, I poured myself a generous measure of wine and reached a definitive conclusion. The automated teller machine was officially decommissioned. Morning brought absolute clarity and 7 new voice messages. Rebecca, it's Mom, just checking in about this month's payment. It hasn't come through yet. Hey sis, Edward here. Got a bit of a predicament with my property owner, could utilize an extra $300 this month. Call me back. Rebecca, Mom again, is absolutely everything all right? We are waiting on that remittance. Dad's blood pressure medication requires a refill. Each succeeding message relentlessly tightened the persistent knot in my chest. Each one served only to reconfirm the harsh reality the video had exposed. Not a single person inquired about my well-being. I prepared for my workday methodically, shower, attire, coffee, performing my routine like a robot executing its programmed functions. But I did not shed any further tears. Something essential had become unyielding inside me overnight. During the midday interval, I composed an email to my banking institution and canceled all prearranged recurring transfers to my family members. The sense of relief was instantaneous, like setting down a ponderous backpack I had been burdened with for years. Then I composed a concise text message to my mother, no transfer this month. Need to attend to some pressing personal financial matters. Her response was immediate. What, Rebecca? Your father needs his medication. This is not amusing. I powered off my phone and completed my shift. That evening, the calls intensified. My father joined the effort, then Carol, then Edward. By 9 o'clock in the evening, I logged the original 23 missed calls and 38 text communications. I perused them all but abstained from responding to any. How could you be so utterly self-centered? We are family. Dad could suffer a cerebral vascular accident without his medication. My landlord is issuing threats of eviction. The resulting guilt was nearly suffocating. I almost submitted, almost instinctively reached for my banking application to transmit the funds. 3 years of emotional conditioning had trained me effectively. But then I consciously recalled the video, the cruel laughter, the mocking toast, our personal ATM. I powered off my phone once more and enjoyed a quality of sleep better than I had in years. A week elapsed. I replaced my phone number, established a new electronic mail address, and temporarily vanished from social media platforms. I required isolation to contemplate, to recalculate my foundational understanding of family, of love, and of my own innate value. The subsequent Saturday, the buzzer to my apartment sounded. I peered through the peephole to observe Edward standing there, looking disheveled. My heart rate accelerated, my palms became slick with perspiration, but I opened the door. What the hell, Rebecca? He forcefully brushed past me into the apartment. You altered your number? Mom is completely losing her composure with worry. I doubted that claim. I required some space. Space? He appeared utterly incredulous. You cannot simply sever ties with your kin because you need space. My landlord issued me an eviction notice yesterday. No expressed concern for me, no inquiries about why I might require separation. Only the eviction notice, the financial dilemma. I am truly sorry to hear that, I stated, and I was. Despite all the hurt, I did not wish my brother to become homeless. Sorry does not settle my rent, Rebecca. He ran his hands through his hair, exasperated. Look, whatever crisis you are currently experiencing, can you please just send the necessary money, and then deal with your whatever this is? That was the absolute moment I knew with certainty. I was not a sister to him, I was an ATM equipped with inconvenient emotions. I cannot comply with that, Edward. Can't or won't? His face darkened considerably. Because from my perspective, you are merely acting selfishly after everything this family has done for you. A hollow laugh escaped my throat. What precisely has this family done for me? Raised you. Supported you. Been there for you. He listed these basic tenets of family like they were extraordinary acts of magnanimity rather than the fundamental baseline of what family ought to be. And in return, my voice remained steady, I have given all of you nearly $100,000 over the past 3 years. Money that was not borrowed but freely bestowed. Money I earned by working 60-hour weeks. He had the minimal decency to appear uncomfortable, though only for a fleeting moment. We were in need of it. You were not. You do not know what I need, Edward. None of you ever bothered to ask. He scoffed. What? Are your feelings wounded because we don't fawn over your fancy career? Grow up, Rebecca. That was the juncture at which I informed him about the video. I watched his face undergo a seismic change as I meticulously described exactly what I had witnessed and heard. He immediately attempted to prevaricate. We were just engaging in some light-hearted joking. You know how family behaves after a few alcoholic beverages. No, I said, I do not know. Because apparently my foundational understanding of family was entirely erroneous. I requested that he depart. Surprisingly, he complied, but not before informing me that I was making a grievous blunder, that I would rue turning my back on my own kin. Perhaps he was correct. But as I secured the door behind his retreat, I experienced something unexpected, profound relief. It felt as if I could finally take a proper breath again. The next day, I received an electronic message from my mother. Subject line, we need to communicate. The body of the message was brief. Rebecca, whatever you surmise you are misinterpreting the situation. We are your family. We love you. Please call me so we can resolve this matter. No acknowledgement of the video, no expression of apology. Just transparent gaslighting and emotional manipulation. I did not reply. 3 days later, a more frantic email materialized. Your father was compelled to borrow funds from his brother for his necessary medication. Is that truly what you wished? To humiliate us? To force your father to plead? The guilt aggressively stabbed at me. I had never wanted to inflict pain upon them, only to cease allowing them to inflict pain upon me. I wrote back a single solitary line: Dad is entitled to a pension and Social Security. His medication costs $43 per month with his Medicare coverage. I was aware of this fact because I had previously conducted the research when I first began assisting with their financial affairs. They possessed an income, not copious but entirely sufficient to cover essential necessities without my intervention. What they lacked was enough capital to maintain the extravagant lifestyle to which they had become habituated, the lifestyle my money had been subsidizing. My mother did not respond to that final email. A month went by. The silence emanating from my family was simultaneously painful and deeply peaceful. I missed them, or rather, I missed the people I believed them to be. I missed belonging, having individuals who knew my history, who shared my genetic makeup. But I did not miss the overwhelming anxiety that accompanied every incoming phone call, every text message, every family gathering where I felt more like a resource than a genuine daughter or sister. During that period, I initiated a revolutionary act. I started allocating money to myself. I reserved a weekend excursion to the coast. I enrolled in a photography course I had been contemplating for years. I began scrutinizing real estate listings for my own permanent residence, moving beyond mere contemplation. And I commenced therapy because extricating oneself from people who have successfully convinced you that their needs supersede your own is immensely complicated work. 6 weeks after Edward's intrusive visit, Carol appeared at my office building. I was walking toward the exit after concluding my workday when I noticed her sitting on a bench near the entrance, her 2 children situated beside her. My heart plummeted. Utilizing the innocent children was a particularly base maneuver, even for them. Aunt Rebecca. 8-year-old Lily ran toward me, arms widely extended. I embraced her tightly, genuinely delighted to see her. The children were completely innocent in this debacle. 5-year-old Ben followed suit, wrapping himself around my legs. We missed you. Mommy said you were lost, but we located you. I glanced at Carol over their heads. Her expression was a well-rehearsed amalgamation of concern and relief. We have been so concerned, she uttered, stepping forward to give me a hug. I permitted the embrace but remained stiff and unresponsive within her grasp. You simply vanished on us. I changed my phone number, I corrected, and I informed Mom precisely why I was no longer transmitting funds. She winced at the direct mention of money, quickly glancing at the children. Can we go to a different location to communicate? Perhaps procure some ice cream? She directed this last suggestion to the children, who immediately began bouncing with excitement. I agreed, unwilling to conduct this sensitive conversation in front of my place of employment or disappoint the children. We proceeded to a nearby ice cream parlor. The children chattered endlessly about their schooling and their companions, entirely oblivious to the intense tension permeating the space between their mother and me. After they were settled with their cones at an outdoor table where they remained within our sight through the window, Carol immediately addressed the business at hand. Look, I am unaware of the specifics of what transpired between you, Mom, and Edward, but… I saw the video, Carol, I kept my voice lowered. The one from last Christmas. Her face fell dramatically. She recovered swiftly. Oh, that. We were all just engaging in some light-hearted joking, Rebecca. You understand how family is. The precise, rehearsed phrase Edward had employed. Joking about me being your ATM? About only tolerating my presence because of my paychecks. She had the minimum courtesy to appear suitably ashamed. We had been drinking. It was foolish. Yes, it was. I stirred my melting ice cream, having lost all interest in consuming it. But it was also truthful. It was the most honest communication any of you have provided me with in years. That is unjust, she protested. We love you. Perhaps you do, I conceded, but you do not respect me, nor do you genuinely care about my overall well-being. You only care about what I am capable of providing you. She attempted to object, but I firmly interrupted her. When was the last time you inquired about my actual life, Carol? About my aspirations? My difficulties? Have you ever paused to wonder why I reside in a minuscule apartment while simultaneously funding your children's private gymnastics lessons? Her subsequent silence provided a complete answer. I would have offered assistance if you had genuinely required it, I continued. That is the very definition of what family is supposed to do. But you exploited the situation. All of you. And you did not even possess the minimal decency to pretend to like me while you were doing it. Tears welled in her eyes. For an instant I believed them to be authentic, until she spoke. I do not know how we are going to manage without your financial support, Rebecca. Ben's therapy appointments are not covered by our insurance. Lily requires dental braces soon. Always, relentlessly, about the monetary issue, never about the restoration of our familial connection. I sighed, abruptly feeling utterly depleted. You will determine a solution, Carol. The same way countless other families do, meticulous budgeting, making difficult choices, taking on supplementary employment if necessary. That is effortless for you to say with your substantial compensation. My compensation, I retorted, meeting her gaze steadily, that I acquired by diligently working through weekends and holidays, by pursuing advanced education, by making significant personal sacrifices. The same opportunities have always been available to you. She scoffed. I have children. That was your conscious decision. The words were more severe than I had intended. I softened my tone immediately. I am not suggesting it is simple. I am stating that it is no longer my specific obligation. We sat in silence for a brief period, watching the children through the large window. They were laughing, attempting to catch the drips from their ice cream cones. I truly do love you, Rebecca, Carol finally uttered. We all do in our own specific manner. Their manner, conditional, transactional. Not the form of love I desperately needed to receive. I love you too, I confirmed. It was true despite everything. But I cannot perpetually continue this. It is causing me immense detriment. She nodded slowly, perhaps grasping for the first time that this was not a matter for negotiation. It was a permanent, non-negotiable boundary. I purchased the children a second round of ice cream before their departure, embracing them tightly and promising to send birthday gifts. I was not entirely cutting them off, they were entirely innocent in this catastrophe. As they walked away, Ben looked back and offered a serious, small wave. Bye, Aunt Rebecca. Don't get lost again, okay? My heart fractured. I wasn't the one who was lost. 3 months elapsed. Autumn transitioned into the cold grip of winter. The holiday season approached, my first devoid of familial obligations. I acquired a small Christmas tree for myself, decorating it with ornaments I had personally selected, not those heavily burdened with childhood recollections. I invited close friends over for a communal potluck dinner on Christmas Eve. It was decidedly different, but not in any way terrible. On Christmas morning, I woke to an email from my father, the first direct communication from him since the entire rupture. Rebecca, it began, no dear or Merry Christmas. Your mother instructed me to reach out. Circumstances have become exceedingly difficult since you isolated us. Edward was forced to relocate back home. Carol's children will not receive much for Christmas this year. Was this truly your intention? To penalize the young ones? No mention of missing my presence at Christmas, no acknowledgement of the root cause of my severing ties. Just further guilt. I immediately deleted the electronic message without composing a reply. New Year's Eve arrived, representing a fresh start. I attended a festive gathering at a colleague's residence, laughing more heartily than I had in many months, feeling substantially lighter. At the stroke of midnight, as everyone was cheering and hugging, my phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. It was Edward. Happy New Year, sis. I genuinely miss you. Can we have a conversation? I am finally ready to listen. I scrutinized the message for a protracted duration. Was it a sincere gesture, or merely another calculated attempt to re-establish the financial pipeline? I ultimately decided it was irrelevant. I was not prepared to permit any of them back into my life yet. Perhaps one day, but not now, not until I was sufficiently resilient to confidently uphold my new boundaries. I did not respond. I was constructing a life that was truly and irrevocably mine, no longer mortgaged to the support of others. In April, exactly 1 year following the viewing of the damaging video, I received a physical letter from my mother. It was handwritten, spanning 10 full pages. I nearly chose not to open it, but my inherent curiosity prevailed. My dearest Rebecca, it commenced, a distinct departure from my father's terse email. She meticulously detailed how the past year had irrevocably forced them to confront their own unacceptable behavior, how they had taken my generosity for granted, how they had systematically used me. She explicitly acknowledged the video, stating that those moments now haunted her conscience. We were fundamentally wrong, she wrote, so terribly, profoundly wrong, not simply in what we uttered that evening, but in how we have habitually treated you for many years. I have no valid excuse other than to state that it evolved gradually, initially a small monetary loan here, then another there, until we began to fully expect it, to feel absolutely entitled to your success without ever genuinely considering the devastating cost to you. She continued by describing the various adjustments they had made to life without my support. Edward had secured 2 simultaneous jobs and relocated into a smaller living space. Carol had successfully launched an online commercial endeavor selling handcrafted items. They had successfully downsized their own primary residence. We are managing, she wrote. It has been arduous but entirely necessary. We should have been pursuing this independence all along, instead of continuously depending on you. The letter proceeded with tender memories from my early childhood, positive recollections of times when we had been a true, loving family, before the issue of money had complicated everything. I am not writing to solicit anything, she concluded. Only to convey that I am sorry, that we are all deeply regretful, and that if you ever desire to attempt to rebuild a relationship, one fundamentally based on love and mutual respect rather than a financial obligation, we will be ready. But only when and if you are. She signed it, with love and regret, Mom. I folded the letter deliberately and carefully stored it. I did not reply instantly. I required additional time to thoroughly process the content, to conclusively determine what I truly desired. A week later, I sat down and composed my own letter. It was not lengthy, a single page. I meticulously listed every single financial sacrifice I had undertaken for them, not with the intention of inducing further guilt, but to formally acknowledge the painful reality of what had occurred. I deserved that recognition. Then I articulated the intense emotional pain of discovering how they genuinely perceived me, how that revelation had compelled me to reevaluate every single tenet I thought I understood about family and affection. I do not know if a complete reconstruction is possible, I concluded. But if we are to attempt it, it absolutely needs to be fundamentally different. I am not your ATM. I am your daughter, your sister, a person with my own critical needs and personal aspirations. If you can truly see me, authentically see me, perhaps we can embark on a new beginning gradually. I mailed the letter the following day. Then I took my dog for a long, invigorating walk in my new neighborhood, inhaling the fragrance of the spring blossoms, feeling the pleasant warmth of the sun on my skin. Whatever the outcome with my estranged family, I knew I was going to be perfectly fine. I had learned the single most valuable lesson: the cost of being loved should never entail the sacrifice of your own well-being. Some relationships are simply too expensive, and I was finally brave enough to close the account.